hello, and welcome to the Wealthy LaLa Show with myself, Lauri Larson. I am just so thrilled. I just recorded the show for Wednesday, February 6th, and it's show 133. And I expanded on a little bit of the 68 seconds. And so then I'm kind of playing around and I'm doing some things, and I go onto Facebook, and Dr. JoeDispenza, who I've talked about before, goes and puts a post on there that just really, that I want to read to you guys. So I want to read it to you and then expand on that, because I find we are so used to being more in negative mindsets, even more than we realize, that it's almost like if you can find a way to relate to choosing, 17 seconds, 17 seconds, 17 seconds, 17 seconds, which totals 68 seconds, or you can use the fun 69, as I so suggested. When you allow yourself to incrementally, stay in the energy of something that you desire. So, even if it's just changing to feeling, what about my body? So I'm going to start, I'm going to time myself. And for my body, I'm like, well, I do really like my smile. And like, even though I have thin hair, it's really easy to do. I actually really like that. I like that my hair does not take me very long to do. It's no fuss. It's easy. Very easy to look after and maintain. Well, and you know what? I'm actually really grateful that I feel so much better. And I like today I went and I shoveled a lot of snow for like a half an hour, something I could not have done about 5 years ago. Maybe 3 years ago, I couldn't even done it. Maybe 2. I don't even know if I could have then. Last winter was, I think, when I first was able to finally start doing some stuff. I just want to acknowledge myself for the things that I've been choosing. Well, you see already, I already did that for almost 68 seconds. And do you notice how it's like, as you start to choose more what we call positive generative thoughts, more and more generative thoughts come. Well, did you guys know that the same freaking thing happens with negative thoughts? That when we allow ourselves 17 seconds with a shit show, people, we're going to start going down that hole. And if we don't consciously make an effort to stop ourselves. Now, like I said yesterday, in yesterday's show, you want to at least acknowledge where you're at. So if you acknowledge that you're being a victim or acknowledge that you're in a shit show, like at least let yourself have that and just see if it's where you desire to continue to create. Okay? I want to really invite you to like not look at things as right or wrong anymore, but as what creates greater or not. Okay? Because some things we judge as being right are not are things that don't actually create greater. Okay, so this is where we want to try and break ourselves out of that. So I'm going to read you what Dr. Joe said. So this is what his post says on Facebook. When you think a thought or have a memory, a biochemical reaction begins in your brain, causing the brain to release certain chemical signals. That's how immaterial thoughts literally become matter. They become chemical messengers. These chemical signals make your body feel exactly the way you were just thinking. Once you notice you are feeling a particular way, then you generate more thoughts equal to how you're feeling. Then you release more chemicals from your brain to make you feel the way you've been thinking. For example, if you have a fearful thought, you start to feel fear. The moment you feel fear, that emotion influences you to think more fearful thoughts. And those thoughts trigger the release of even more chemicals in the brain and body that make you continue to feel the fear. The next thing you know, you get caught in a loop. You were thinking creates feeling, and your feeling creates thinking. If your thoughts are the vocabulary of the brain and feelings are the vocabulary of the body, and the cycle of how you think and how you feel becomes your state of being, then your entire state of being is in the past. So to truly change, we have to change how we think and how we feel. When you do this, you begin to change the energy of the electromagnetic field you are broadcasting. What does the future you feel? What does the future you feel like? What do they think like? What do they say to themselves? Okay, so the quote that's with the post is how you think and how you feel creates your state of being. And so remember yesterday I mentioned that post, the other quote that Dr. Joe does is the quantum field responds not to what we want, it responds to who we're being. So when you allow yourself to get stuck in fear, many of us know that one well. Guilt, now that was one I mastered. Okay, when you start to get like, do you ever notice that when you start to think a guilty thought or you feel guilty, then all of a sudden you sit in it, then it begins to expand, and then you start to feel, oh, there's that yawning clearing thing. You start to expand on and create more thoughts of guilt. And then the body creates more feelings of guilt. Then you end up getting in this almost like an infinity loop. You get into this big soup, or like with the way Abraham Hicks talks about the 17, 17, 17, 17, which becomes 68 seconds. You play like, how quick is a minute? A minute doesn't take very long. Do you realize that when we're not actually being aware of ourselves, when we're not actually being consciously aware of our minds, of our thoughts, then what ends up happening is you're going to go down the rabbit hole. Now, where we want to be, like, just this is kind of popping to share, is just that actually works just as quickly and as easily when we go the other way. Like when I said, like, start thinking about something that you want. So start, if you have kids or if you have grandchildren or you have a partner that you love, you know, you can, even if you're feeling frustrated with your partner, you be like, you know what? I'm really grateful that my partner, so right now for me, in this 10 seconds, my partner's the one who is working. He's working a regular job outside the home, okay? Mine looks like working from home, coaching, stuff like that. But he's, you know, it's right now, he's working outside of the home. And, you know, I'm really grateful that he does that. He gets up every morning for us. You know, he goes outside, he works outside. I'm actually really grateful for that too, that he does it and he doesn't complain. And I'm grateful for how much he cares about, you know, providing for me and for us and taking care of our future. You know, and the more that I think about him, you know, he's got a really kind heart. And then you know, I'm really grateful for that time that he brought me flowers home. That made me feel really good. You know, he did it just out of the blue. And then, you know, there was, when we were just recently on our Mexico trip, there was a lady I met who liked to talk about kind of stuff, healthcare and mind, body and stuff like that. And after my conversation with her, he was really happy for me to have met someone who had a similar interest as me. And I remember his happiness for me. And yeah, just, you know, and do you guys see how now I'm not in a funk with him, and just sitting there consciously making an effort to look at what I'm grateful for him actually began to more and more create even more gratitude for him. It expanded on that. Now, we do the same thing with fear. We do the same thing with anger. We do the same thing with resentment. We can do the same thing with sadness. We can do the same thing with guilt. Like, really, you guys, if you look at the different emotions and states of being that we feel, we can go down either rabbit hole. And again, not right or wrong. It's just what is actually creating for your future. Like say you've just lost a pet or you've lost a loved one. It might really create greater for you to crawl into your bed and have a good cry for a day or two or month. Okay? Like that's what I mean by when I talked about it, whether it was earlier today on the show or yesterday's show. I'd like to invite you to not look at things as right or wrong, but as what creates greater. Because today, I've not had anybody pass away in my life. If I go and lay in bed and I start thinking of all the things I'm sad about and I cry for like 2 days, that is not going to create greater in my world. Whereas someone who's had someone pass away, their crying may be an acknowledgement of the memories and the love and the adoration and the kindness and the sweetness and everything that they had. And then only we can decide when something changes from no longer, creating greater. The same thing with anger. Someone has just done you wrong. Someone has just maybe gone behind your back, talked about you. Maybe it was someone you thought cared about you. Maybe you've caught someone in a lie. Okay, or someone has stolen some money from you. At first, your initial reaction, you are going to be PO'd. You're going to be so angry. Okay? There is nothing wrong with that. You have had something created in your world that does not work for you. And the anger is a demand for change. It's letting you know that that's not okay. Now, can you imagine if you stayed in that anger for a month? Is it still going to create, if you're aware of what 17, 17, 17, 17, 17 seconds and beyond creates, either way, is that anger going to create more for your future? Again, only you know, okay? I know that I stayed in a lot of anger and resentment for a really long time, did not create greater for me. It's not worth something beating myself up over. And it's being aware of what these things create. Okay. And there's a time when if you've just had, someone has just lied to you, screwed from you, stole money or something, and then you go into this Pollyanna, oh my God, it's totally okay, whatever. Is that actually going to create more? Is that allowing you to actually be with what was just created, being able to be in the reality of what was just created and not like, almost like fake, like be fake with it and be like, oh, it's just fine. I'm going to carry on. I'm going to just, let it go. Well, are you actually letting it go? Or are you really actually being with what's actually really going on? So, only each of us knows what each of these states can be and for how long it's going to, be where it does or doesn't create greater for us. So, and as with most things, if you stay in anger and something occurred in the past, if you check in, it's not likely creating greater for your future. What do you need to be able to create something different for yourself? Do you need to do some emotional freedom technique tapping? Do you need to do a meditation? Do you need to go for counseling? Do you need to have some body work? Do you need to have some access consciousness bars? Do you need to phone a friend? Is there something that you could do? And it may not be just one time. I've had things impact me for years. I also did not have tools. And part of my things that impacted me for a really long time kept me in question to what else is possible. So I kept moving forward. And then I found all these tools. So how does it get any better than that? And what's right about all of this? So again, really be aware of how you think and how you feel. It creates your state of being. And if it's a state of being that you desire to create for the future. So if you're in a state of sadness and you actually allow yourself to be in a state of compassion and understanding for yourself, that's way different than being a victim and of sadness. Oh my God, you guys, this subject is so huge. Like we're coming to the 15 minutes and I just feel like as I talk about this, more and more threads open up. If you guys ever have any questions about this, please, message me on Instagram with the Wealthy LaLa Show. Message me on Facebook, the Wealthy LaLa with Lauri Larson. Send me an email, thewealthylala@gmail.com. Like, please, because sometimes I get into this and I don't even, know what someone else needs to know because of the place where I'm at with all of this. So all I'm going to say for today is, even just with the 68 seconds, going either way, start with 17, go to another 17, set yourself a stopwatch or something, and allow yourself to play with it and ask the universe to show you what it creates so that you know this for yourself. That's the biggest thing, is don't believe a word I say. Play with this for yourself and really be present enough and allow yourself to see what it creates and go for it. I'd love to hear your stories, your curiosities. And on that note, I'm going to say goodbye. You guys have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you for listening, and big, big, big handsome hugs to you.